The day my dad brought home his comrade's daughter, I never expected to fall for her. Even my best friend, G. Boda, secretly loved her. Egged on by him, I confessed to her 30 minutes before the college entrance exam. She coldly rejected me, and my shattered heart made me completely bomb the test. After failing, my parents kicked me out. Meanwhile, my best friend used his carefully crafted good guy persona to swoop in and marry her. But then, I opened my eyes and realized I was reborn. Though I've already been rejected, the exam is still 30 minutes away. This time, I'm done being blinded by love. Armed with my memories of the future and having memorized past exam papers, I only care about getting into Tsinghua or Peking University and living on my own terms. With 30 minutes to go, my stepsister, Bai Lingbing, confronted me. She said, "I'll just pretend yesterday's confession was a silly joke. Focus on your exam now. I will be waiting for you at Southwest University in 2 months." I looked at her in her military uniform. She was stunning, cold, sharp features, with an athletic, commanding presence. When I didn't answer, her brow furrowed. I snapped out of my daze and immediately grabbed my things. "Hey sis, time is running out, I have to go," I said. She froze, clearly shocked that the little brother who used to cling to her was acting so detached. Ignoring her questioning gaze, I bolted out the door and hailed a cab to the exam. In this life, I'm done chasing her. I refuse to spend another lifetime drifting aimlessly. This time, I will seize this opportunity, ace the exam, and secure my place at a top-tier university. I want to live a free, boundless life and see the world. By the time I finished my last paper and walked out, the sun was setting. Reporters swarmed the crowd, eager to interview this year's students. I tried to slip past, but a microphone was shoved in my face. "Yay, fan, we heard your confession was rejected yesterday. Did it ruin your focus today?" Before I could speak, a familiar, lively figure pushed through the crowd. It was G. Boda, wearing a white shirt and sporting short hair. He yelled, "Stop asking! Ye fan's confession failed yesterday, and he's in a terrible state." Hearing those familiar, venomous words, my worst memories rushed back. In my past life, every ounce of my suffering was caused by this supposed best friend. G. Boda was the one who leaked my confession. He was the one who got me kicked out by my parents. Only later, when I saw him standing triumphantly next to Bai Lingbing, did I realize his true motive. He did it all because he was secretly in love with her too. My tragic past life was nothing but a stepping stone for his twisted romance. Not this time. I pushed Jiboda aside before he could say another word and faced the reporters calmly. Loving someone isn't a crime, and neither is confessing. It won't affect me. I am highly confident in my performance. "Thank you," I said, walking away. The setting sun cast my shadow long and straight on the pavement as I headed home. In my past life, this was the sanctuary I desperately dreamed of returning to during my darkest nights. "Yay, fan, you're back," a warm, familiar voice suddenly called out. I looked up and saw my father waiting under the old locust tree, the same spot where he used to pick me up from school. He hesitated for a second before speaking. "I heard what you said to Lingbing yesterday. I didn't tell your mother. You foolish boy. Lingbing is your sister." I froze, looking at the deep worry in his eyes as bitterness welled up inside me. In my past life, my confession to her brought relentless public shame, dragging my parents into a nightmare of gossip that turned their hair white overnight. Watching my father walk ahead of me, my heart ached. I jogged up and linked my arm with his. "Dad, I just mistook dependency for love. From now on, she's only my sister." The tension finally melted from his worried face. We walked into the courtyard together, but when we pushed open the front door, she was standing right there. My father patted my shoulder and headed inside first. The fading sunlight fell across her cold, beautiful face. Our eyes met, and we stood in silence for what felt like eternity. Finally, I smiled and broke the ice. "Sis, my foolish words yesterday must have really worried you, right? I had a temporary brain freeze. I'm sorry. Please don't take it to heart. We're family for life." Hearing my calm, casual explanation, a strange flicker of irritation crossed her face. Just yesterday, I was begging for her love. My sudden change made her wonder, was I being real? Or was this just some game of hard to get? She looked at me, lecturing in a solemn voice. "It's good you see it that way. The college entrance exam is a major turning point. Focus on your future." I smiled and nodded. She went to her room and brought out a brochure. Handing it over, she said, "Southwest University's cutoffs rise every year. You'll need to give it your all to get in." My smile froze for a split second when I saw the Southwest University logo. I didn't say a word. In my past life, I was utterly obsessed with her. That's why I wanted to go to Southwest University. It was the closest to her military base. but chasing her only led to a miserable, ruined life. Now that I have a fresh start, I am firmly choosing Peking University. I want to study languages, my true passion, and explore diverse cultures and local customs. I want to write books that help the world understand and fall in love with China. Watching her walk back to her room, I decided not to mention my change of plans. After all, we'll both have our own paths to walk from now on. We will eventually lead entirely separate lives, so there's no need to explain. I carried the brochure to my room, turned on the radio, and dived into studying what actually interested me. At dinner time, our family sat around the table. It was a warmth I had lost in my past life. Back then, I was like drifting duckweed, completely cut off from home. This sudden warmth made my mind wander. "What's on your mind, Ye Fan? Did the exam go badly?" my mother asked, placing some egg in my bowl with a worried look. I shook my head and smiled. "No, Mom, it went really well." She beamed with relief. "Wonderful. If you go to Southwest University, your sister can look after you since her base is nearby." My hand froze on my chopsticks. Oblivious, she continued. "Your dad and I are getting old. Once you're away at college with heavy studies and unable to visit, we'll only feel at peace knowing she's close by." The truth caught in my throat, so I kept quiet. "I turn 18 this summer, Mom. I can take care of myself. Don't worry." After dinner, I tried to help clear the dishes, but she pushed me away. She insisted I go shower and get some rest. Walking out of the bathhouse with a towel on my head, I saw her familiar silhouette in the courtyard. "During dinner, you looked like you wanted to say something," she said flatly. I froze. In my past life, I was a constant shadow, always trailing behind her. But her mind was strictly on her military career and honoring her father's legacy of defending the borders. She never spared a glance for me. I was surprised she actually noticed my silence this time. I smiled softly to dismiss her suspicion, keeping my distance. "It's nothing. Just feeling a bit homesick thinking about leaving." Under the moonlight, she stared down at me, finding me suddenly hard to read. I gazed quietly at the starry sky, knowing I wouldn't have the peace to enjoy this view again. Our teacher once said a line that stuck. "Once you go to university, your hometown has no spring or autumn, only winter and summer. The older we get, the rarer our visits home become." Silence stretched between us. Suddenly, my mother walked out of the kitchen. "Lingbing, a matchmaker dropped by today. She wants to set you up. She wants to set you up with Jiboda. Why don't you meet him before you join the military?" She paused in surprise, then nodded. "Sure, Mom. You arrange it." My mother beamed. "Perfect! I'll let the matchmaker know right away so we can set things up. We'll set up the date with Boda soon. We know his family well, and if it works out, we can make it official. That way someone will look after you in the service." Once my mother left, I watched her turn to go. Remembering Jiboda's vicious, plotting face, I spoke up. "Jiboda isn't as innocent as he seems on the surface," I warned. "Keep your guard up during the date." She frowned deeply, staring at me. "Ye Fan, you've really changed. Boda is your best friend. You shouldn't slander him like that." She stepped inside and slammed the door shut. I stood there, stunned. In my past life, how did I never notice how quickly she defended him? A wave of helplessness washed over me. I guess I was just sticking my nose where it didn't belong. Whatever. Whoever she ends up with has absolutely nothing to do with me anymore. I turned off the light, determined to get a good night's sleep for the next day's papers. The alarm buzzed at 7:30 a.m. sharp. After a quick breakfast, I double-checked my admission card and pens before heading out. When the test was handed to me, my tense shoulders finally relaxed. Some of the topics I reviewed last night actually appeared on the exam. Talk about luck. I knew right then I was going to absolutely crush this test. Wearing a confident smile, I wrote furiously. Time flew by, the final bell rang, and just like that, the exams were over. Years of school, endless studying, and my entire youth were packaged into a few sheets of paper. I walked out, stretched my limbs, and felt a massive weight lift off my shoulders. I headed back to the village in high spirits, but at the entrance, everyone was staring at me strangely and whispering maliciously. I'd only taken a few steps when their disgusting insults stabbed straight at me. "That's the Ye family boy. Can you believe he confessed to his own sister the other day? No decent university would accept someone so immoral. The Ye family raised such a shameless brat. Their ancestors must be turning in their graves. If he were my son, I'd beat him to death. Some people are just so thick-skinned humiliating Fenyang village like this and still showing his face." Hearing their venom, my blood ran cold. It felt like I was trapped in my old nightmare again. Back then, news of my confession spread like wildfire overnight. My mind had gone completely blank, paralyzed by shame. By the time I tried to defend myself, it was too late. My parents were dragged into the mud, publicly blamed for failing to raise a proper son in my place. I clenched my fists, but then I took a deep breath, held my chin high, and faced the crowd. Aunts, listen up, I called out clearly. Bai Lingbing and I share no blood relations. There is no moral scandal. Loving someone isn't a crime. I was just young and confused. I couldn't separate dependency from love, but I've cleared my head now. Whoever she marries, I'll happily bless them. If I hear anyone spreading nasty lies again, I won't hesitate to report you for defamation. Having lived through it once, I knew exactly how fast toxic rumors could spread. They only get wilder if you run. This time, I refused to hide. Intimidated by my sharp, unyielding tone, the busybodies quickly shut their mouths. I walked home with a light, breezy stride. As soon as I stepped inside, my mother was carrying a steaming plate of food. "You're done with exams. We'll eat as soon as your sister gets home," she said. I took the plate from her hands and asked casually, "Where is she anyway?" My mother beamed. "She's finally opening up to romance. She went to town to buy Jiboda a nice gift." I listened quietly, feeling absolutely nothing. I was just surprised she actually cared about Jiboda this much. For someone so quiet, who rarely showed interest in others, picking out a thoughtful gift for him was quite a statement. Just as my mother laid the final dish down, she walked through the door carrying several heavy bags. Peeking inside, I saw a new shirt, a leather bag, some food, and cosmetics. "Why did you buy so much?" my mother asked. She smiled softly. "Some of these are for you and Dad, actually, since I'm leaving soon. I wanted to get you both something." "You silly girl, you just started working. You should save your money for yourself. We don't need anything." Listening to their warm banter, I remained quiet, focusing entirely on my favorite braised pork. When I finished, I quietly got up. I went back to my room. The moment I walked in, I saw a photo of Bai Lingbing and me on my desk. I walked over, staring at our happy, smiling faces in the frame. I couldn't help but remember how incredibly kind she had been to me ever since she joined our family. When I was 10, I caught a fever after getting caught in the rain. She stayed up all night, using warm towels to cool my forehead. At 12, when older kids bullied me, she immediately stood up for me. As a top student, she even took a school warning on my behalf. At 15, I got lost in the back hills while playing. She searched for me all night and carried me home on her back, but after she joined the military, we drifted apart. Now, she is about to get married and start a family, and I am heading off to Qingbei University. Knowing these memories would eventually fade, I buried my emotions and pulled a cardboard box from the closet. I packed away everything related to her. Our photo, the beautiful pencil case she gave me, my childhood toys, and all the rest. I set the packed box aside, planning to throw it all away the next day. The following morning, I walked out of my room carrying the box. Just then, her door opened. Instead of her usual military uniform, she wore a brand new pink dress. She glanced at the box in my hands and asked in a flat voice, "What are you carrying?" "Just some old study materials and childhood toys. I am donating them to an orphanage," I replied calmly. She nodded without asking further, heading straight for the door. But just as she reached the threshold, she turned back and added, "Tell Mom I won't be home for dinner." I watched her walk out of the yard, then looked down at our face-down photo frame at the top of the box. A bitter smile touched my lips. How little must she care to not even notice that was our only photo together? After a moment, I walked out to the street and threw the box into a trash can. After breakfast, I caught a bus to town to buy some essentials for college. I searched from north to south, visiting several bookstores just to find a guide about Qingbei University. Then, I headed to the shopping center for a thermos, a wash basin, and other daily necessities. Passing a pharmacy, I remembered Mom coughing last night, so I went in to buy some herbal tea and cough syrup. Looking at my full hands, I prepared to head back. Walking past a jewelry store, I heard a sales assistant's excited voice inside. "Oh, this watch looks perfect on you. Your wife has great taste." I glanced inside casually, and the figures of Bai Lingbing and Ji Boda immediately caught my eye. I saw her hold his hand and fasten an elegant watch onto his wrist. Let it go. Those were the only words in my mind. Watching them, I felt absolutely nothing. I turned away, but just as I was leaving, Jiboda walked out of the shop arm in arm with her, spotted me. "Yay fan," I calmly replied. "Yeah, just buying some things." A smug look flashed across his face and he smiled. "Lingbing and I had a successful blind date. We are getting married soon. You don't mind, do you?" As he spoke, he kept turning his wrist to show off his new watch. I didn't even look closely, replying softly, "No, I don't mind." Since I had already decided to distance myself, their affairs had nothing to do with me. He froze, completely caught off guard by my indifferent reaction. Feeling a bit snubbed, he forced a smile and deliberately said to her, "We will be family soon, Lingbing. Your brother is my brother now." She looked at him warmly and nodded. Yes. I just smiled without saying a word. Having lived through my past life, I already knew his true colors. In this life, I wanted nothing to do with him and would never call him a friend. His smile widened as he said, "Yay, fan, we have more shopping to do. Want to join us?" "No, I am done. I'll head back first." I rejected immediately. I boarded the bus home. She watched my departing back, her quiet eyes swirling with complex, dark emotions, though she said nothing. Once home, I gave the herbal medicine and supplements to Mom before retreating to my room. I sat down at my desk, eagerly opening the book about Qingbei University. Captivated by its rich history, I lost track of time until darkness fell. A knock on the door broke my concentration. I got up to open it, and there she was. "Your light is still on," she said. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" "I'm just about to," I replied softly. She looked at my distant expression and frowned. She felt I had been cold to her lately, which stirred a strange irritation in her heart. She glanced around the room and noticed an empty spot on my desk. "Where is the photo frame?" I looked back and let a lie slip effortlessly. "I accidentally broke it, so I sent it to be repaired." For some reason, hearing this explanation seemed to ease her lingering irritation. "I see. Get some rest then," she said. "Good night." With that, she turned and went to her room. In my past life, I never dared lie to her because she could always tell. But now, she didn't even notice my casual lie. Smiling mockingly at myself, I shut the door and went to sleep. Over the next few days, I did nothing but read and wait for my exam results. As for my sister, she was out early and back late every day, nurturing her relationship with Jiboda. Time flowed by, and soon it was June 24th, the day of the results. I headed to school early to check my scores. Just as I arrived at the gate, a white Santana pulled up. "Yay, fan, are you here for your results too?" I was about to walk past, but turned when I heard my name. A pretty girl with a smile stepped out. I thought for a moment and recognized her as Liu Ruyan, my classmate. She came from an influential, high-ranking family, but we had rarely spoken and weren't close. I nodded politely. She didn't mind my formality, walking over with a friendly grin. "Let's go in together." We walked into the teacher's office together. The moment I received my report card, my heart raced despite having estimated my score beforehand. Trying to steady my pounding chest, I opened the paper and looked directly at the total score at the bottom of the page. Staring back at me in black and white was 689. My tense nerves finally relaxed. I knew Qingbei's usual cutoff was around 670, so this score practically guaranteed my admission. I thanked Teacher Wang, eager to head home first to share the great news with my parents. But after waiting forever for a bus, Liu Ruyan kindly offered me a ride, since it was on her way. As I got out at my house, I saw my sister and Jiboda walking out of the yard arm in arm. I quickly looked away and turned to thank her. With a bright smile, she said, "If you really want to thank me, come to my birthday party in 2 days." I was taken aback but smiled. After she drove off, I turned to head inside, but Jiboda spoke up with an exaggerated tone. "Yay, fan, was that? Liu Ruyan, are you guys dating? She is a notoriously wild rich girl. You won't end up well with someone like her." I frowned, about to speak, when my sister's cold, reprimanding voice cut in. "Boda is right. A family like the Lias is not like us. Stay away from her. You are still young and need to know your limits. Don't go running around with just anyone." Hearing her words made me highly uncomfortable. I had only taken a ride home from a classmate. How did that translate to running around with someone? What right did she have to talk to me like that? I looked at her, the words slipping out before I could stop them. "Sister, I am an adult now. Who I choose to be friends with is my business. I'm tired, I'm going in." I walked straight into the yard. She stood there, staring at my door with a dark expression, only snapping out of it when Jiboda nudged her. I didn't care about her reaction. After telling my parents my score that evening, it was time to submit my university preferences. To avoid her meddling, I waited for a day when she wasn't home to use the school library computer. A few days later, I returned to the library to hand back my books. On my way home, I bumped into Liu Ruyan and her friends. I planned to just say a quick hello and leave. But she suddenly asked, "Yi fan, want to go roller skating?" Before I could answer, her friends started teasing her. mentioning it was the birthday girl's special request. Only then did I realize it was her birthday. Not wanting to ruin her mood, I joined them at the town's largest rink. Seeing me stand there awkwardly, she walked over holding a pair of skates. Never done this before? Don't worry. I'll teach you. I nodded. Sure. We laced up and headed to the edge of the rink, only to spot my sister and Jibota skating on the other side. I was stunned. I never expected my serious sister to hang out at a skating rink with Jibota. Keeping my composure, I called out, "Sister," beside me. Lu Ruyan froze for a second before politely adding, "Hello, I'm Lu Ruyan." My sister just gave her a freezing look. Just as she was about to speak, music suddenly filled the rink. The resting skaters flooded back onto the floor, and the atmosphere instantly grew lively. Eager to join, Jibota grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the center. "Lingbing, it's starting. Let's go." She had to swallow whatever she was going to say and followed him onto the floor. I smiled faintly, while Liu Ruyan led me to the other side. Since it was my first time, I was pretty nervous. I let her hold my hand, slowly guiding me forward as she explained the basics. Keep your knees bent and move your feet in a V shape. Yes, just like that. She coached me patiently while leading the way. Under her guidance, I slowly got the hang of it. I asked her to let go so I could try skating on my own, but I clearly overestimated myself. The moment she let go, I lost my balance and began falling forward. Luckily, she was quick enough to grab me and pull me back. The next second, our bodies were pressed close, our breaths mingling. Feeling awkward, I tried to pull away, but my eyes caught Jibota nearby. He had his arms around my sister's waist, leaning in to press his lips against her cheek. Time seemed to stop as the crowd around us erupted in cheers. Noticing my sudden pale expression, Lu Ruyan asked if I was all right. "Were you startled? Want to take a break?" I nodded, and we walked over to the seating area. While she went to buy some soda, I stood there alone. Suddenly, a woman wearing revealing clothes skated over with a sly smirk. "Hey, handsome. Are you all alone?" she purred, reaching out to touch me. Thankfully, Liu Ruyan returned just in time, stepping in front of me. "What do you think you're doing?" Seeing I wasn't alone, the woman slunk away. But as Lu Ruyan turned to ask if I was okay, my skate suddenly slipped, and I lost my balance. I stumbled straight into her. She instinctively reached out to steady me, wrapping her arms around my waist. We collided hard, pressing even closer than before. I could feel her soft warmth against me, sending a sudden jolt through my chest. As I scrambled to apologize, my sister's furious voice cut through the air. "What do you think you were doing?" We quickly pulled apart to find her staring at us with ice-cold eyes. "Yi Fan, hugging and grabbing a girl in broad daylight? Do you have any self-respect left? Come home with me right now." She grabbed my wrist with a painful grip. "Sister, you got it wrong. It was just an accident." Before I could finish, Jibota suddenly collapsed to the floor with a painful cry, instantly drawing her attention away. Jibota crouched down, clutching his foot and whining about a twisted ankle. Hearing this, Bai Lingbing immediately stripped off his skates, pulled him up, and said, "I am taking you to the hospital." Before rushing off, she threw a final word my way. "Go home by yourself." I stood there, watching Jibota look back at me with a smug grin. I knew instantly he did it on purpose, but Bai Lingbing was completely blind to it. It just proved once again. To her, Jibota always comes first. One second she warned me not to get too close to other women, and the next she dumped me for Jibota, leaving me alone with someone else. I guess she is not worried anymore. Back in my room, exhaustion washed over me. I just wanted to collapse onto my bed. As I went to lie down, I bumped into the desk, knocking over the pen holder. A paper rose fell out. I stared at it, my mind drifting. Bai Lingbing had folded this for me back when we were still close. I remember seeing a drama where a girl folded flowers for a boy, so I begged her to make me one. She could not say no, so she looked up tutorials and finally made this rose. She gently patted my head with a warm smile and said, "Here you go, you little troublemaker." Holding that tiny paper rose, my hidden feelings blossomed. I actually believe she liked me back. Later, when the rose went missing, I was heartbroken for a long time. I wanted to ask her to fold another one, but so much happened after that. Seeing this rose again now, I only feel a strange sense of peace. Once you outgrow wanting something, it completely loses its meaning. I picked up the paper rose and tossed it into the trash can without a second thought. Just then, a voice called out, "Anyone home? Is this Ye Fan's house? Is Ye Fan here?" I hurried outside and saw a mailman with a classic bicycle stopped at the gate, holding a large envelope. "I am Ye Fan," I said, walking up to him. "Is that for me?" He handed me the envelope. I tore it open and when I saw the admission letter from Tsinghua University, my heart finally settled. Everything was set. Relieved and happy, I slept like a baby. The moment I opened my eyes the next morning, the rich aroma of dinner drifted in. As we sat down to eat, Bai Lingbing walked through the door. My mother asked if Boda was doing okay. Bai Lingbing replied calmly, "He is fine, just a mild sprain." I took him home. I kept eating in silence. I did not say a word. Then, Bai Lingbing spoke up. "Mom, Dad, the military sent a letter. I have to cut my leave short and head back. I am leaving tomorrow." My parents were surprised, but nodded in support. My father spoke first. "If the military needs you, do not delay. Pack your bags after dinner." My mother sighed with regret. "It is just a shame we cannot finalize your wedding with Boda now." For some reason, Bai Lingbing glanced at me, but I just kept eating, completely unmoved. Seeing my cold indifference made her feel strangely uneasy. "We will postpone it," she muttered. "Winter is fine." My parents agreed after a brief thought. Then, Bai Lingbing looked at me and asked on a whim, "Your college acceptance letter should be arriving any day now, right? Boda applied to Southwest University too. You two should travel together so you can look out for each other." My parents chimed in, agreeing it made perfect sense. I thought about the admission letter I received earlier, hesitating on whether to speak up. My mother cut in, looking at Bai Lingbing. "Once Ye Fan gets to the Southwest, take good care of him." I worry. Listening to them, the food turned to ash in my mouth. I kept quiet. There was no point keeping my mother up all night worrying. I would tell them after I arrived in the capital. The next morning, everyone woke up early to see Bai Lingbing off. Despite everything, the upcoming separation made me speak up. "Safe travels, sis," I said. She nodded. Then, she lectured me in a serious tone. "You do not know Lu Ruyan. Be careful around her. School starts soon, so focus on your studies. Do not fall behind when you get to Southwest University." I listened in silence, offering no defense, but she kept staring, waiting for me to agree. I gave a half-hearted nod. "Yeah, I know. Let her think whatever she wanted." I had nothing left to say. She opened the car door to leave when Ji Boda's voice echoed from nearby. "Lingbing." Bai Lingbing rushed over to support him. "Your foot is injured. Why are you here?" "You are heading back to the base today, so I wanted to see you off." "I am fine." As they bid an emotional farewell, I turned back inside without looking. Behind me, Bai Lingbing stared at my retreating back, a sudden wave of anxiety washing over her. It felt as though she might never see me again. She dismissed the silly thought. Once I arrived at Southwest University, they would meet again anyway. I packed the winter clothes and market purchases into my suitcase. Cleaning out my desk drawers, I stumbled upon two family photos. One was taken when I was very young, before Bai Lingbing joined us. It was just the three of us. The other photo was taken a couple of years ago, with Bai Lingbing. A family of 4, but I only took the photo of the three of us and slipped it into my suitcase. After washing up, I went to bed and slept peacefully. At dawn, I left a letter in the living room and slipped out with my suitcase. The house was dead silent, my parents still fast asleep. Before walking out, I looked back at their bedroom. Words failed me, leaving only a quiet, "Take care, Mom and Dad." I took a deep breath, held my head high, and strode out of the courtyard. 30 minutes later, I was on the train to the capital. Memories of my past life being driven out of the village like a stray dog flashed in my mind. This time, I will not repeat those mistakes. This time, I am living for myself. As the morning sun rose on the horizon, I knew a bright future awaited me. With a loud rumble, the train lurched forward. My eyes filled with hope. Life is finally going to get better. Since I woke up so early, drowsiness soon crept in. Half asleep, I felt my head rest on someone's shoulder. I snapped awake instantly and looked over, only to see a familiar profile. "Lu Ruyan, what are you doing here?" She turned to me. "You're awake. I'm heading to the capital too, since I got into Tsinghua, just like you." I was stunned. She smiled and nodded. And so, the two of us traveled to Tsinghua together. Meanwhile, back at the Ye household, my parents woke up as usual. They prepared breakfast, but I still had not come out. Wiping her hands, my mother went to wake me, only to find the door slightly open. She pushed it open, but my usual belongings were gone, and the bed was neatly made. Panic gripped her. Then she spotted a letter on the desk. "Old Ye, come quick! Our son is gone!" she shrieked. Hearing the panic, my father rushed in. "What is wrong? What do you mean he is gone?" Just as he entered, my mother handed him the letter. "I found this on the desk. You read better than me. Open it quickly." My father looked down at the envelope addressed to Mom and Dad. He tore it open, unfolded the paper, and read the message. Dear Mom and Dad, by the time you read this, I will be on the train to the capital. I never told you, but my acceptance letter was actually from Tsinghua, not Southwest. Forgive my silent departure, but do not worry. I will take care of myself. Once I settle in, I will call or write. Love, Ye Fan. Shock flashed in my father's eyes. Ye Fan went to Tsinghua. He is already on the train. My mother gasped, confused. Tsinghua? Not Southwest? Even Lingbing thought he was going to Southwest. What is wrong with this boy? I need to call Lingbing. She turned to leave, but my father stopped her. Ye Fan is already on his way. Telling Lingbing now won't change anything. He said he would call once he settles in. We can ask him then. My mother nodded reluctantly. There was nothing else to do. Meanwhile, at the Southwest military base, Bai Lingbing, captain of the elite training camp, was putting the recruits through their paces when a sudden pang of dread hit her chest. She felt like she was losing something precious. Frowning, my image flashed in her mind. She shook her head. I was about to start at Southwest University, and they would see each other soon. How could she lose me? She completely forgot that Ye Fan had mentioned going to Tsinghua. Pushing the thought aside, she refocused and finished the training session. Afterward, she went shopping in town. Assuming Ye Fan wouldn't bring much, she wanted to buy him some daily essentials. Carrying a load of household items back to the military compound, she ran into a neighbor. Looking at the bags, the woman smiled. Captain Bai, buying so many housewares? Is your fiancé coming to live with you? Bai Lingbing froze. She did not correct her, feeling a strange surge of joy. The days flew by until registration day at Southwest University arrived. Taking a day off, Bai Lingbing drove to the campus and stood near the gates, scanning the crowd of students. She was terrified of missing him. Just as she spotted a familiar figure and stepped forward, a delighted voice called out from behind. Lingbing, are you waiting here for me? She turned to find Ji Boda. He stood there with his luggage, beaming. Looking around and seeing him alone, she asked, Why are you by yourself? Where is Ye Fan? Ji Boda's eyes flickered with surprise. You do not know? Ye Fan went to Tsinghua with Lu Ruin. Bai Lingbing froze, her heart plummeting into an abyss. Her mind went completely blank. How is that possible? Ye Fan always wanted Southwest University. Why would he? Her voice trailed off as a memory hit her. She remembered what he had told her. Sis, I want to study linguistics at Tsinghua. It suits me. She had dismissed it as a joke, a petty lie born of jealousy over Ji Boda, but it turned out to be the truth. He had actually done it, leaving for Tsinghua behind her back. Unable to accept this, she had to find him and get answers. She turned toward her car, but Ji Boda grabbed her arm. Lingbing, I just got here. I don't know anyone. Can you stay with me? Before he could finish, Bai Lingbing shook off his hand. Handle it yourself. I have to go. She climbed into her car and sped away, leaving Ji Boda staring at a cloud of exhaust. He grit his teeth in frustration. But then, a smirk crept onto his face. He turned and walked into the campus. It didn't matter. Now, he had Bai Lingbing all to himself. With Ye Fan far away in the capital, nobody could stand in his way. Between him and Bai Lingbing. Back at the family compound, Lingbing quickly dialed the Fenyang Village Committee. While waiting for Ye Fan's parents to answer, his mind was a chaotic mess. He had no idea what kind of answer he wanted. But he knew one thing. No answer would satisfy him anyway. The one outcome he truly wanted was already out of reach. Lost in thought, he was jolted back by Ye's mother's voice on the line. Lingbing, are you doing okay at the base? Bai Lingbing nodded. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I called to ask if Ye Fan really went to Qingbei. He did. Ye's mother sighed, still sounding resentful. The boy snuck off the day after you left and only left a letter. Lingbing's heart sank. He asked, Has he written or called since? I can't just leave the military base, so reaching him means relying on calls or mail. But for letters, I need his address. Not yet, she replied. Your dad and I are waiting too, though we should hear from him any day now. Mom, if Ye Fan leaves an address or number, could you please let me know? Lingbing's voice was strained, almost pleading. It sounded a bit strange to Ye's mother, but she did not dwell on it. Of course, I'll let you know when he does. Hanging up, a heavy weight pressed on Lingbing's chest. He couldn't understand why Ye Fan suddenly fled to Qingbei. Didn't Ye Fan like him? Didn't he want to stay by his side forever? Then, Liu Ruyan's face flashed in his mind, and his chest tightened sharply. Did Ye Fan actually fall for Liu Ruyan? No way. The sudden protest in his own head startled him. Deeply buried feelings he had never even acknowledged were suddenly breaking through the surface, leaving him completely disoriented and overwhelmed. He was finally beginning to understand his true feelings for Ye Fan. Meanwhile, at Tsingbei University, Ye Fan had finished his enrollment and checked into room 502. Building 5, carrying his luggage inside, he found the dorm empty. He was the first to arrive. The dorm slept 6, featuring iron bunk beds and a large central table for studying and meals. He claimed a lower bunk near the door, then set to work dusting, unpacking his bags, and neatly making his bed. An hour flew by. Looking at the freshly cleaned room, a satisfied smile spread across his face. He tucked his suitcase away, realized he needed to let his family know he was safe, and headed out to find a payphone. The moment the call connected, his mother's voice roared through. "Ye Fan! You have some nerve sneaking off to Tsingbei behind our backs." He pulled the receiver away, waiting a moment before replying. "Mom, I told you before, I wanted to go there." She snapped back. "Even so, you cannot just run off without saying a single word." Ye Fan fell silent before softly apologizing. "Mom, I'm sorry." Her anger dissipated a bit. She asked how he was adjusting, then added, "Can you leave us a number or address? Just in case we need to reach you." Ye Fan explained, "There is no phone in our room, just one in the guard room. I can give you that number and my dorm room, building 5, room 502, but the guard room phone is busy, so I might miss some calls." This was what Lu Ruan had told him at the campus gates, even writing the number down for him. After sharing it with his mother, they talked briefly before hanging up. By the time he walked back into room 502, his new roommates had arrived. The boy sitting on the bed next to his was the first to greet him. "Hey there, you must be my neighbor. I'm Shi Hao." Ye Fan smiled, nodding. "Hi, I'm Ye Fan." The others introduced themselves too. Finally, the entire room 502 crew was assembled. Shi Hao was an incredibly outgoing local from the capital. He immediately launched into a lively description of all the best spots in Beijing. "I can show you guys around when we have time," he offered. "Maybe during the National Day holiday?" Though the others did not live in the city, their homes were close by, so they shook their heads, planning to visit family. Finally, Shi Hao turned to Ye Fan. "You're not going home too, are you?" Ye Fan hesitated. Since he had snuck off to Tsingbei, without telling Bai Lingbing, he knew Lingbing would track him down for answers. Going home meant they might run into each other, and he was not ready to face him. After debating it, Ye Fan shook his head. "I'm staying here. Why don't you show me around?" Shi Hao grinned, clapping Ye Fan on the shoulder. "Deal. There's a military parade this year, so we can go watch that." Ye Fan nodded. Soon, the boys settled into their routine at Tsingbei. As was tradition, every incoming class had to attend a welcoming gala, with each dorm expected to perform a routine. Except for Shi Hao, the roommates stayed back to brainstorm. Ye Fan broke the ice, asking, "So, what kind of talents do you guys have?" "Back in the performance troupe, I learned a bit of dance." "Me too." Ye Fan was stunned to find that everyone in the dorm had some dance experience. He was the only one who had never danced, which felt incredibly awkward. Just then, Shi Hao burst in. "I know what our dorm should perform." Everyone turned to look at him. "We can pair up with a girls' dorm and do ballroom dancing? What do you think?" No one objected. They all knew how to dance, and ballroom was incredibly popular on campus. Only, Ye Fan hesitated. Shi Hao noticed, reassuring him. "Don't worry if you don't know how. I can teach you." Ultimately, Ye Fan swallowed his pride and nodded. He had come to Tsingbei to grow and build a bright future. So, learning to dance was a good place to start. As they huddled to plan, Ye Fan raised an important question. "Which girls' dorm are we pairing up with?" Shi Hao slapped his forehead. "Oh right, I almost forgot. If you guys are free, let's go find them." They nodded. But just as they stepped out, someone called down the hallway. "Is Ye Fan from room 502 here?" "You have a phone call in the guard room." Ye Fan froze. Who would call? He had just phoned home 2 days ago. Did something happen at home? Panic set in. He quickly told Shi Hao, "I need to run to the guard room first. I'll catch up with you guys in a bit." Shi Hao nodded. "Sure, we'll probably be at the gym or the cafeteria." "Got it?" Ye Fan nodded, and bolted to the guard room. He snatched up the receiver. "Mom? Dad? Did something Ye Fan? It's me." Hearing that familiar, completely unexpected voice, Ye Fan froze. He never imagined Bai Lingbing would track him down so quickly. After a long silence, Ye Fan finally spoke. "Bai." On the other end, hearing the boy's voice briefly calmed Lingbing's anxiety. But remembering Ye Fan's sudden departure, Irritation flared up again. He couldn't keep the anger out of his voice. Ye Fan, do you have nothing to say to me? The line went dead silent, filling Lingbing with a sudden sense of dread. Just as he was about to speak again, Ye Fan's calm voice cut in. I've already told you everything I wanted to say. I'm already at Singbei, so you don't need to worry about me. You and Jiboda should just focus on being happy together. Lingbing felt a tight ache in his chest. So you ran away because of him? Before he could finish, Ye Fan cut him off. None of that matters anymore. We might be siblings, but we both have our own lives to live. I've found my path now, so please stop worrying. Hearing Ye Fan's casual, indifferent tone, Lingbing felt a bitter pang. He could sense the boy distancing himself. He could feel the growing distance, yet he was slowly realizing how much he truly cared deep down, a feeling he had no idea how to express. Sensing the silence on the other end, Ye Fan didn't want to dwell on the past. I've got to go. Goodbye. Without waiting for a reply, he hung up. He stood there for a moment to calm his swirling emotions, then walked out. Following Shihao's directions, he headed over to the gym. When he arrived, he saw them already paired up, practicing the steps. Shihao spotted him and immediately waved him over. Ye Fan, over here. Ye Fan hurried over, introducing himself to the girls. Shihao grinned. I know you're not great at this, so I saved the best dancer for you. He looked around and pointed to a girl walking toward them. There she is. Ye Fan followed his finger and saw a slender girl in a white dress, her hair in a neat ponytail. As she drew closer, he recognized her instantly. It was Lu Ruyan. Oh, it's you! He greeted her with a warm smile. Lu Ruyan was equally surprised, raising an eyebrow. Wow, what are the odds? Talk about a small world. Beside them, Shihao looked between them. Wait, you guys know each other? Ye Fan smiled. Yeah, we're from the same hometown. Shihao nodded. That's perfect! Since you already know each other, practicing will be way less awkward. He turned to Lu Ruyan. I'll leave Ye Fan in your hands then. Lu Ruyan nodded. Don't worry, I got this. Once Shihao went back to practicing, Ye Fan confessed sheepishly. Just so you know, Ruyan, I have absolutely no idea how to dance. She smiled. Don't sweat it. Just follow my lead. Ye Fan nodded. All right. She then started teaching him step by step. Reaching out, she said, place your hand on mine and just match my steps. Taking his hand, she guided him back and forth, leading the rhythm. She had him lift his arm, gracefully spinning beneath it. But Ye Fan's foot caught, and he lost his balance completely. With a sharp gasp, he felt himself falling backward. Fearing a hard crash, he squeezed his eyes shut tight. He braced for impact, but the pain never came. Instead, Lu Ruyan's teasing voice echoed near his ear. How much longer do you plan on holding on to me? Ye Fan snapped his eyes open and realized she had caught him, keeping him off the floor. Meeting her amused gaze, his ears flushed deep crimson. He quickly found his footing, gently stepping back. Thanks. She let go with a smile. No problem. Let's try again. Ye Fan nodded, executing every step with extreme caution this time. He let out a sigh of relief. Seeing how tense he was, Lu Ruyan chuckled. You don't need to be so stiff. Dancing is supposed to be fun. Just relax and enjoy it. Ye Fan nodded. I know. I'll try. Just then, Shihao strolled over. How's it going? Seeing Ye Fan struggle for words, Lu Ruyan spoke up. Don't worry. With me coaching him, we won't hold the group back. I'm not worried at all. Shihao smiled. Don't feel pressured. Ye Fan. Ye Fan gestured that he understood. That's enough practice for today. Let's grab some food, Shihao said, rallying the others toward the cafeteria. Over dinner, Shihao suddenly remembered. Hey Ye Fan, was that call earlier from your family? Ye Fan paused mid-bite. Your sister? How old is she? Where is she? Shihao's gossip instincts kicked in, pestering him. Ye Fan was too tired to explain, wanting to avoid mentioning Bai Lingbing. Sitting opposite him, Liu Ruyan noticed Ye Fan's expression and quickly intervened. Ye Fan, the welcome party is in a few days. Practice hard. You can find me in Building 1, Room 401. Relieved that the topic of Bai Lingbing was dropped, Ye Fan quickly agreed. Sure, let's finish eating. If you are free, please teach me more. Liu Ruyan nodded. Soon, the others left, leaving Ye Fan to follow to the gym to practice dancing. Time flew, and the welcome party arrived. As they prepared to go on stage, Ye Fan grew nervous. Liu Ruyan whispered, Do not worry. I am here. If you get too nervous, just avoid looking at the crowd. Pretend we are back in the gym. Ye Fan took a deep breath. Okay, On stage, he followed her lead, stepping and spinning in perfect harmony. As he began to relax, his eyes drifted to the massive crowd. Panic seized him. His steps faltered, and he accidentally stepped on her foot. Sensing his panic, Liu Ruyan pulled him close, placing his hand on her waist while draping her arm around his neck, guiding him through the spin. Follow my lead. It is almost over. They were so close he felt her breath. His face flushed bright red. Thunderous applause erupted as they walked off stage, but Ye Fan's face remained bright red. Shi Hao teased, Ye Fan, why so red? Was it because Lu Ruyan spun right in front of you? He stayed silent in embarrassment, while Lu Ruyan smiled softly. The welcome party was a success, forging a deep friendship between their dorms. Soon, everyone focused on studying, spending most of their time in the library. Ye Fan ran into Lu Ruyan often, and they grew closer. Soon, rumors spread that they were dating. Even Shi Hao asked, Ye Fan, are you two actually together? Ye Fan was startled. He quickly shook his head. No, we just happened to meet at the library. Stop spreading rumors. But knowing even Shi Hao believed it, he worried others were even more confused. Ye Fan deliberately kept his distance, no longer listening to her talk about aerospace during study breaks. Li Ruyan immediately noticed his awkward behavior and guessed the reason. Looking at him, she said softly, Ye Fan, you do not need to care about rumors. Even if we were dating, it is nobody's business. He knew that, but the trauma from his past life still haunted him. He refused to drown in that toxic whirlpool again. I think I will just study in my dorm from now on, Ye Fan said. Liu Ruyan was stunned, but seeing his frown, she remained silent. They deliberately kept their distance. Soon, the gossip faded, and a relieved Ye Fan threw himself into his studies. Time flew like water, and National Day arrived before they knew it. With everyone else home, only Ye Fan and Shi Hao remained. There is a military parade this National Day. Let's go watch, Shi Hao suggested. Ye Fan agreed. Parades were rare, the last being 5 years ago. He had never seen one in person. Now in the capital, he had to go. They set off, but bumped into Liu Ruyan at the gate. You didn't go home? Where to? She asked. Shi Hao chimed in. We are going to Tiananmen for the parade. Perfect, let's go together, she said, glancing at Ye Fan as if fearing a rejection. He nodded, and they piled into her Santana. The square was packed. Ye Fan and Shi Hao exchanged lost glances. Follow me. You cannot see anything here, Lu Ruyan said, leading them to a prime spot right at the front. Ye Fan looked at her in disbelief, recalling school rumors that her grandfather was a high-ranking military officer. That explained this perfect view. A stunned Shi Hao gasped. Just who are you, to secure a spot like this? Lu Ruyan shrugged. It is nothing. The parade is starting. Meanwhile, Ye Fan noticed Shi Hao looking at her differently, but he brushed it aside to focus on the parade. As the cannons fired, synchronized marching echoed across Tiananmen Square. Air Force in white, Navy in blue, and Army in green marched past in flawless, disciplined rows. Their pride and fighting spirit deeply moved Ye Fan. As another unit in green uniforms marched by, he watched intently. Suddenly, his gaze locked onto a tall figure leading the formation. He gasped, his eyes widening. It was her Bai Lingbing. She was actually in the capital, marching in the parade. His mind spun in utter confusion, his eyes clouding with disbelief. Ye Fan, did you hear me? A gentle nudge snapped him back to reality. What? What were you daydreaming about? I said, I am thirsty. Let us get some water. Oh, okay, Ye Fan nodded, but turned to meet Lu Ruyan's searching gaze. She had spotted Bai Lingbing too, noticing his sudden distress. Back in Fengyang village, she knew their bond was unusual. She frowned but did not pry into his private affairs, though a nagging discomfort lingered. After the parade, they returned to school. Ye Fan and Shi Hao thanked her as she drove off. Walking back, Shi Hao suddenly declared, Ye Fan, I am going to pursue Liu Ruyan. Ye Fan nearly tripped over his own feet. He stared at him in absolute shock, speechless. You want to what? Shi Hao grabbed his arm excitedly. I think I love her. I need to write a love letter. You are our top literature student. Write a poem for me. Dragging him back to the dorm, Shi Hao shoved a pen into his hand and placed a blank paper before him. Finally snapping out of it, Ye Fan quickly dropped the pen. I cannot do this. Find someone else. Shi Hao sighed. Fine, I will write it, but you must proofread it. Deal? Ye Fan reluctantly nodded. Suddenly, a knock sounded at the door. He opened it to find a neighbor. Are you Ye Fan? Someone is at the gate looking for you. Ye Fan froze. He had no acquaintances here. Who could it be? Suddenly, the image of that military uniform flashed in his mind. Her? Did she find him already? Ye Fan took a deep breath. He had to face this. It was time to clarify everything. From afar, Bai Lingbing saw Ye Fan. In a crisp white shirt, he radiated youth. He was no longer the little boy in Fenyang village who followed her around. Her eyes darkened. A wave of suffocation hit her chest. Ye Fan looked at her haggard face. Sister, he murmured. She smiled faintly. Ye Fan, we need to talk. Let us find somewhere to sit. They sat on a shaded stone bench in a nearby park, silent. Ever since Ye Fan hung up on her, a sharp, constant pain had haunted her heart. Her mind filled with him. She wanted to find him in Beijing, but had no words. Later, during freshman military training where she served as commander, Boda constantly hovered around her. Back in the village, she had tolerated him, but his smug attitude as her fiancé now disgusted her. For the first time, she wanted to call off the wedding, so she began keeping her distance. Boda noticed her avoidance and demanded, Lingbing, why are you cold? Aren't we engaged? After a long silence, she replied, Boda, about our marriage, we need to reconsider. Boda demanded aggressively, I know I am hurting you, but my mind is made up. She refused to hesitate now, finally realizing who she truly loved. Is it because of Ye Fan? She stayed silent. Boda sneered. He is your brother. It is impossible. He is in Beijing now. He will not look back. Suspecting something, she asked, What are you hiding? Went to Peking University? Yes, so what? You cannot be together. I was helping you. She realized Ye Fan's coldness was Boda's doing. Her gaze turned ice cold. What did you do? I only exposed his confession. But what killed his hope was our blind date. He thought we planned it together. Bai Lingbing gasped. So that was why he apologized the next day. He had fled to Beijing because of her blind misunderstanding. Now, realizing her own heart, she desperately wanted to apologize. She was willing to defy society just to be with him. After returning to her unit, she learned she would represent them in the parade. Excited, she secured a 6-month transfer to Beijing. Meanwhile, Ye Fan sat in silence, watching her closely. Lost in her own thoughts, Bai Lingbing sat in silence. Ye Fan, unwilling to waste any more time, said, If you have nothing to say, I'm leaving. This jolted Bai Lingbing awake. She quickly grabbed Ye Fan as he stood up, pleading, Don't go. Ye Fan froze. Bai Lingbing's clinging, obsessive tone made it sound as if they were lovers. Shaking off the absurd thought, Ye Fan looked at her and asked, What do you actually want to say? Bai Lingbing stared at the boy she had watched grow up. She never expected to develop these feelings for him. If she had realized sooner, she wouldn't have rejected Ye Fan's confession so harshly, nor agreed to date Boda. But now that her heart was clear, maybe it wasn't too late. Ye Fan, I was wrong before. Now I know my own heart. I like you too. Before she could finish, Ye Fan suddenly stood up, his eyes filled with disbelief, and a sharp, unmistakable wave of mockery. Bai Lingbing's remaining words caught in her throat. It took a long moment for Bai Lingbing to find her voice. Ye Fan, I mean it. I've made up my mind. As long as I can be with you. It took Ye Fan a long time to suppress his rising emotions. He cut her off directly. No need. I've let it go. You'll only ever be my sister. Besides, have you forgotten? You're marrying Boda at the end of the year? Bai Lingbing quickly explained. I already told him. I'll explain to my parents too. You don't have to carry any burden. Looking at her making promises, Ye Fan doubted his own judgment for the first time. Bai Lingbing only ever thought of herself. When she didn't like him, she rejected him coldly, even forbidding him from loving her. She had even gone on blind dates with Boda right in front of him. Now that he had moved on, she decided she loved him, discarding Boda just as easily as she had once discarded him. Suddenly, Ye Fan felt disgusted. He looked at Bai Lingbing and spoke clearly, word by word. I'll say this one last time. I feel nothing for you but sibling affection. What you do with Boda is none of my business. I have to go. Not wanting to hear more, he turned to leave. But as he took a step, she grabbed his arm. I know you're just angry. I'm sorry for the past, but I'll make it up to you double. Ye Fan rolled his eyes, wondering if she was deaf to reality. He yanked his hand free. He walked away, but Bai Lingbing assumed he was just acting out of spite. She smiled indulgently and caught up. Ye Fan, I've applied to study at the Capital Military District for 6 months. I'll visit you whenever I can. We can meet all the time. Ye Fan felt a bitter ache. He truly didn't understand her. When he loved her, she rejected him repeatedly. Now that he had finally moved on, she was begging for his attention. This sudden reversal exhausted him, leaving him completely drained. Arriving at the university gates, Ye Fan turned to her. Go back. I need to get to class. He didn't wait for her reply before heading inside. But a sudden force yanked him back. Annoyed, he spun around, ready to snap. What else do you want? He stopped, shocked to see Jiboda standing there. Before he could react, a heavy fist crashed into his face. Ye Fan, you trash. Do your professors know how desperately you've been trying to seduce another man's fiancé? Jiboda shouted, deliberately drawing a crowd. Nearby students and teachers stopped to stare. Ye Fan's eyes burned with rage. That suffocating feeling of being falsely accused from his past life rushed back, making him tremble. He forced himself to stay calm and defend his honor. Jiboda, stop spreading lies. I can report you to the administration. You might lose your own spot here. Suddenly, Jiboda played the victim, shouting, Look, everyone, he stole my fiancé, and now he's threatening to silence me? With a sharp cry, Bai Lingbing rushed over. If looks could kill, Jiboda would be dead 10,000 times over. She felt a wave of intense regret for ever believing he was a good person. Shielding Ye Fan behind her, she whispered, Go inside. Let me handle this. But Ye Fan shook his head. If he walked away now, he would never clear his name. Seeing her protect Ye Fan only fueled Jiboda's burning jealousy. He spat out reckless, furious words. Bai Lingbing, I am your fiancé. How can you defend him? Whispers broke out as onlookers pointed at them. Ye Fan grew pale. He couldn't let Jiboda spew any more of this poison. He had worked too hard to get into this university to let it be ruined now. Before he could speak, a familiar voice cut through the air. Brother-in-law, open your eyes. That's Ye Fan, your fiancé's brother, not your imaginary rival. Stunned, Ye Fan turned and saw Liu Ruyan walking toward them. She stepped right next to Ye Fan, greeting Bai Lingbing. Sister Lingbing, you're here too. But when she looked at Ye Fan and saw his swollen, bruised face, a flash of pure rage crossed her eyes. Who did this to you? Ye Fan, why didn't you fight back? Hurting for him, she reached out to touch his cheek. Bai Lingbing frowned and stepped in to block her hand. Liu Ruyan used the moment to lean close to her, whispering urgently, Get that man out of here. Do you want Ye Fan expelled? Startled, Bai Lingbing glanced at Ye Fan, then dragged the stunned Jiboda toward her jeep. Once they drove off, Liu Ruyan addressed the crowd. Don't mind him, everyone. That man is Ye Fan's brother-in-law, and he is mentally unstable. He's jealous because Ye Fan is close with his sister. With that lie, she pulled Ye Fan onto campus. Ye Fan had been dazed since she called Jiboda brother-in-law, until a sharp sting on his cheek brought him back to reality. Looking at the girl beside him, he murmured, Thank you for saving me back there. Do you have medicine in your dorm? We need to clean that up right now, Liu Ruyan said, her brow still furrowed. Ye Fan nodded. She fell silent as they walked toward dorm building 5. Belatedly, Ye Fan realized she was upset. Are you mad at me? He asked tentatively. Seeing his completely clueless expression, the anger in Liu Ruyan's chest flared even brighter. Are you a soft target? If someone hits you, hit them back. And as for your so-called sister, your taste is terrible. She stood right there and couldn't even shield you. Liu Ruyan fumed, eyes blazing. Stunned, Ye Fan stammered. How did you know about us? He didn't finish, but he knew she understood. I have eyes, don't I? She snapped. Back in Fenyang village, I already saw how you looked at her. That's in the past, Ye Fan replied quickly. Now, she is just my sister. He scrambled to defend himself. Liu Ruyan paused, staring at him so intensely that he felt a chill down his spine. Just as he opened his mouth to break the silence, she leaned in closer, her voice laced with temptation. Since it's over, why not date me instead? Ye Fan froze, staring at her in sheer disbelief. Neither of them broke eye contact until a tense voice shattered the moment. What are you two doing? Shi Hao had been writing love poems in his room when he heard his roommate mention that someone was slandering Ye Fan at the gates. Dropping his pen, he rushed downstairs, only to find Ye Fan and Liu Ruyan standing close, lost in each other's eyes. His chest tightened, and he immediately cut in to break the spell. Ye Fan jerked back, quickly creating distance from Liu Ruyan. Remembering what Shi Hao had shared before, he scrambled to explain. Shi Hao, this isn't what it looks like. But before he could finish, Liu Ruyan cut him off. Why are you explaining yourself to him? Ye Fan was speechless. Shi Hao stepped forward, looking directly at Liu Ruyan. Because he knows that I like you, and that I want to ask you out. The moment the words fell, Ye Fan felt her sharp gaze pierce him like needles. While he was desperately searching for an escape, another student walked up to them. Ye Fan, the administration wants you in the office. Ye Fan stiffened, knowing it was because of the scene at the gates. Even though Liu Ruyan had managed to quiet the crowd, with a few words, a prestigious university still had to investigate the truth. He nodded, saying, "All right, I'll go right now. I'm coming with you," Liu Ruyan insisted. Watching them, Shi Hao's gaze darkened, but he also spoke up, saying he would go along too. Together, they walked to the administration building. Ye Fan went inside alone, leaving Liu Ruyan and Shi Hao waiting in the corridor. Shi Hao looked at her. "Do you like Ye Fan?" She didn't say a word, but she nodded. "But I can tell he doesn't feel the same way," Shi Hao pushed. Liu Ruan's brow furrowed, but she soon smirked. "I know that, but the present isn't the future, and I have confidence." Shi Hao fell silent. Finally, he spoke. "You come from a powerful family, don't you? Even if you and Ye Fan fall in love, would your parents ever let you marry an ordinary guy?" Liu Ruyan studied him, her eyes narrowing. "So, you didn't actually care about me? You just targeted the background behind me?" From his clothes, she guessed he came from a similar circle. Shi Hao looked down. "I'm sorry, Liu Ruyan cut him off. "My family doesn't care about social classes. If I love someone and he is a good man, my family will support me." She paused, then added, "If you don't want to follow their path, you can refuse. We live in a new era now." Shi Hao suddenly snapped his head up to look at Liu Ruyan, a desperate spark of hope igniting in his eyes. Could he actually say no? Just then, the office door opened and Ye Fan walked out. Liu Ruyan rushed over. "Are you okay? Did they give you a hard time?" Ye Fan smiled warmly and shook his head. "No. I explained everything clearly," he assured her. "Actually, I'm writing a formal complaint to Southwest University. I won't let Ji Boda get away with slandering me like that." "Good," she agreed. Ye Fan then turned to Shi Hao, who was lost in thought. He nudged his shoulder gently. "Shi Hao, you all right? Let's head back." Shi Hao blinked, suddenly snapping out of his daze. Back in the dorm, Ye Fan noticed his roommate was still distracted. Assuming it was because of Liu Ruyan, he quickly tried to explain. "Shi Hao, about earlier with Liu Ruyan, it's not what," but Shi Hao cut him off. "Ye Fan, I need to apologize. I lied to you." "What do you mean?" Ye Fan asked, confused. "I didn't try to pursue her because I liked her. It was purely for her family status." Shi Hao looked at him, his expression heavy with exhaustion and defeat. Ye Fan pulled up a stool and sat beside him, keeping his voice gentle. "It's okay. Tell me what's wrong." From Shi Hao's confession, Ye Fan learned his father was a prominent military general. They heavily controlled him, drilling it into his head that he must marry into a high-status family. Even attending a top university was a tiny bit of freedom he had fought desperately to win. That was why, realizing Liu Ruyan shared his background, he suddenly spoke up. He wanted to pursue her, and told Ye Fan not to interfere. Ye Fan never expected Number 10, who seemed so cheerful and carefree, to harbor so many burdens. Number 10. What I want to say is that it is a new era now. Everyone has the right to choose their partner. If you are unwilling, you can. Talk it over with your family. Your life is yours to live. Make your own choices, and do not let anyone influence you. This was a truth Ye Fan had paid for with a tragic past life. Number 10 stared at him and said, "No wonder Li Ruan likes you. She told me the exact same thing." Ye Fan was stunned, his words cut short as Number 10 suddenly wrapped his arms around him in a tight hug. His voice trembled with a slight sob. "Ye Fan, thank you. I know what to do now." Ye Fan gently patted his back. After a brief moment, before he finally pulled himself together, Number 10 gently pushed Ye Fan back. Though his eyes were slightly red, a smile returned to his face. Just as Ye Fan let out a sigh of relief, Number 10 asked, "I have never thought about it. Right now, I only want to focus on my studies." He had loved Bai Lingbing for so many years, only for it to end in tragedy. Now, love was no longer important to him. He only wanted to build his knowledge and experience for a bright future. During the last few days of the National Day holiday, leave, Number 10 took Ye Fan to explore many places around the capital. Most of the time, Liu Ruyan joined them. While Bai Lingbing and Ji Boda never showed up, Ye Fan had no idea how Bai Lingbing handled Ji Boda, but it had nothing to do with him anymore anyway. After having fun during the holiday, Ye Fan returned to his daily routine of studying at the library. Liu Ruyan still joined him, but he did not try to avoid her this time. If he denied their connection now, the school gate incident would only spark more endless rumors. Still, He felt he owed Lu Ruyan an explanation. Finding a quiet corner, he said to her, Lu Ruyan, everyone keeps misunderstanding our relationship. If it is causing you trouble, Yifan frowned, getting stuck because he had not yet figured out how to resolve the situation. He could not think of a good solution right now. Seeing his conflicted expression, Liu Ruyan sighed softly. I spoke out of turn that day and worried you would mind. But honestly, I am just happy you are letting me stand by your side. Ye Fan saw the deep affection in her eyes. Ye Fan pressed his lips together. I might not feel the same way right now, but thank you. I understand. It is okay. I will keep trying. I am sure you will change your mind, Liu Ruyan said confidently. Ye Fan had no words and stayed silent. Once everything was out in the open, getting along seemed even more pleasant. Time slipped by in his studies. Half a month later, as Ye Fan walked to the library with his books, his roommate suddenly rushed over. Ye Fan, I went to the guardhouse to answer a call and saw a woman in a military uniform looking for you. Ye Fan nodded. All right, I will head over. He walked toward the gate, assuming it was Bai Lingbing coming to tell him about the aftermath of Jiboda's situation. But when he arrived, he did not see Bai Lingbing. Instead, he found a different woman wearing a military uniform. Ye Fan paused, then walked up to her. Hello, I am Ye Fan. Are you looking for me? The woman nodded quickly. Yes, Captain Bai asked me to bring you to see her. Ye Fan asked in confusion, why did she not come herself? Is Captain Bai is currently in the hospital? Ye Fan was startled. What happened? Why is she in the hospital? It is best if Captain Bai explains the details herself. Do you have time right now? Realizing he had no more classes, he nodded. I will go with you. He then climbed into the jeep parked at the curb. 40 minutes later, at Anding Hospital, Ye Fan pushed open the door to the ward. Bai Lingbing was lying face down on the bed, resting. Hearing the door, she opened her eyes, and a flash of pure joy crossed her face when she saw him. She tried to sit up but pulled the wounds on her back, making her wince in pain. Ye Fan rushed forward to support her arm. Looking closely, the injuries on her back looked like she had been beaten. Sister, your injuries. Bai Lingbing suddenly grabbed his hand. Ye Fan, no one will stop us from being together anymore. Can you give me another chance? Ye Fan looked shocked. Before he could speak, she continued. I broke off the engagement with Jiboda and explained everything to my parents. They do not oppose us anymore. Ye Fan widened his eyes, staring at her. Only after a long silence did he find his voice. You told your parents about us? She tightened her grip on his hand. I know you were hurt because I rejected you before, so I took all the consequences. I only hope you can forgive me. Ye Fan, I really love you. These injuries are indeed from a beating. Ye Fan muttered, his mind suddenly going blank. The very person who had rejected him, solemnly declaring she would only ever be his sister, had turned around and exposed everything to her parents. But he had already let go and no longer needed her love. So, everything she did failed to move him. Instead, it left him utterly lost. A deep sorrow surged from his heart. In his past life, he had also fought desperately in front of his parents, just like she did. But his only reward back then was being thrown out, doomed to a miserable life. Yet for her, they actually let go and agreed. And through it all, not a single person had asked him what he wanted. At this moment, he felt a bitter chill. Bai Lingbing looked at the silent Ye Fan, her joy slowly turning into deep anxiety. She stared at him. Ye Fan, are you not happy? From now on, we. But he cut her off. Masking all his emotions, he asked in a cold, indifferent voice, what did you tell them? That made them not even call me once? She explained the entire sequence of events to him in detail. It turned out that after she dragged Jiboda away from the university gate, she sent him back to Southwest University. Meanwhile, her letter of complaint had also arrived. After verification, Jiboda was expelled from the university, causing a massive scandal in the village. His parents even went to the Ye family home to make a scene. She rushed back just in time to expose the entire truth, causing Jiboda to completely break down. He directly pointed at her in front of everyone and spat, Bai Lingbing, do you dare deny your selfish motives? Using me was just to hide your shameful affair with Ye Fan. Shut up, Jiboda. Things are at this point because of you. Who is the real culprit? You. Know it full well, she interrupted angrily. Whatever is between Ye Fan and me is our family's business, not yours. If you dare speak of it, I am not afraid to admit it. In fact, let us talk about you and your female senior. Jiboda stared at her warning glare, suddenly feeling guilty. She actually knew. At his university, A female senior liked him. Because she had ignored him for so long, he had turned to that senior for comfort. Even his train ticket to the capital had been paid for by her. In the end, he did not dare say anything too outrageous. Soon after, he was sent away to his grandmother's home, days away from the village. After resolving Jibota's issue, she decided to confess to her parents. She directly knelt before them on the floor. The two elders were shocked. Lingbing, what are you doing? Mom, Dad, I have something to say. It might be hard for you to accept, but it is my truth. Her parents looked confused. What is it? Go on. Mom, Dad, I am sorry. I have failed your trust. My feelings for Ye-fan are not just sisterly love. I love him. This single sentence hit them like a bomb. Predictably, she was severely beaten, even forced to kneel for a whole day and night. But in the end, they did not say anything more, only telling her to stand. She knew that although they did not agree, they would no longer oppose it. Hearing her story, Ye-fan had mixed feelings. Though she had done so much, he had no desire to look back. He looked at her and said, Sister, let me tell you a story too. A flash of confusion and deep unease crossed her eyes. She had thought that once she dealt with Jibota and got her parents' approval, he would have no reason to refuse and would gladly return to her and make up. But from start to finish, there was not a single smile on his face. Her heart sank, and a cold panic began to consume her. Without waiting for her response, Ye-fan simply began speaking. He told her about his past life and everything he had experienced, starting from his hopeful confession to ending with him dying completely alone in a foreign land. After finishing, Ye-fan closed his eyes, suppressing his emotions. He looked at her with calm, gentle eyes. Sister, I am sorry. I have already let go of you. In the future, we will only ever be siblings. Her heart felt as if struck by a massive sledgehammer, her lips turning pale. Ye-fan, I was foolish before. I did not realize my own feelings. I will change. Let us start over, please. At this moment, Ye-fan felt a faint sadness. If she had said this in his past life, would he have avoided that miserable existence? In that life, she never loved him, yet now she begged to be together. Is it just a human flaw, where what we cannot have is always what we desire? If so, he felt his past self was incredibly foolish. He would definitely not walk that path again. But none of that mattered now. Since he had decided to move forward, there was no need to dwell on the past. Having made peace with it, Ye-fan said, Get some rest. I will visit you later. He turned to leave, but she grabbed his hand. Ye-fan, are you really giving up on me just because of a story? He paused, his voice carrying a hint of sorrow. What if I told you it is not a story, but my actual experience? With that, he pulled his hand free and left the ward without looking back. She watched him go, a sharp, unbearable pain gripping her heart. Everything was finally arranged. So, why did she still lose him? She refused to accept this. He had loved her deeply. How could he just walk away? As for that story, though she felt uneasy, she did not believe in such supernatural nonsense. Her urgent priority now was to heal her wounds. He was soft-hearted. If she devoted herself fully to him, she could surely change his mind. Meanwhile, after leaving the hospital, Ye-fan did not go back to school. He found a public phone booth and dialed his family home. This time his father answered. Both were silent for a long moment before Ye-fan spoke first. Dad, how are you and Mom? After a while, his father's voice came through. Your mother is sick, but it is nothing serious. Do not worry. Ye-fan suddenly felt a pang of sorrow. He knew his parents would not easily accept the truth she had laid bare. He did not understand why they had compromised, but he still wanted to make his position clear. Dad, I am sorry. About me and her, but cut him off. Your mother and I do not plan to interfere anymore. Even if you do not come back, it is fine. We can take care of ourselves. Hearing his father's exhausted voice, he could not help but ask, Dad, Mom, why? Why wouldn't they object? Ufu fell silent for a moment before slowly sharing a secret with me.